Hello travelers! Welcome back to World Travel Tour. Today we're going to talk about 15 incredible ancient ruins around the world that you can visit. Moai, huge carved stone figures, dominate the landscape here at Rapa Nui National Park. These haunting statues, depicting ancestors of the Rapa Nui people, vary in height from 6 feet to 60 and were erected during the 10th to the 16th centuries. To see them, you'll need to travel to the most remote inhabited island on Earth. That isolation led to distinctive artistic traditions, which include petroglyphs in stone houses and caves. Covering 40% of the island, the park contains hundreds of statues. This 5,000-year-old city in North Africa was founded by the Berbers and later became a distant outpost of the Roman Empire. It was occupied for 10 centuries and various cultures mingled here, including Islamic and Christian. Given their isolation, climate, and long abandonment, the ancient ruins, including an aqueduct, thermal baths, and a triumphal arch, are in good shape despite earthquake damage. Especially noteworthy, the mosaic floors in the House of Orpheus, the biggest of the excavated residences. A brilliant work of architecture and astronomy, the Pyramid of Kukulkan at Chichen Itza is so precisely engineered that on the vernal and autumnal equinoxes, the sun casts shadows that slither like snakes and seem to descend its stairways. Said to represent the plumed serpent deity Kukulkan, the shadows return twice yearly to drink from sacred sinkholes known as cenotes. Chichen Itza is classified as one of the new 7 wonders of the world and in 1988 was enlisted as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Scotland's Orkney Islands are rich in relics depicting life 5,000 years ago. You'll find the stones of Stennis, Mesa, Skara Brae, and the Ring of Brodgar, 4 monuments known as the Heart of Neolithic Orkney, on the archipelago's largest island, mainland. These late Stone Age remnants are well preserved, due in part to their location. Older than Stonehenge and far less visited, the dwellings of Skara Brae have been called the Scottish Pompeii. Stennis, an early henge monument, resembles a modern sculpture installation. Mesa is a chambered mound tomb sporting Viking graffiti, and Brodgar's large stone circle has 27 of the original megaliths still standing. While you're in Thailand, escape the colorful chaos of Bangkok and head for the historic capital of Ayutthaya, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Ayutthaya is a ghostly city of striking ruins and entangled wats or temples and praying reliquary towers. Brightly colored offerings contrast with the aging stones and brick. King Ramathibodi founded Ayutthaya in 1350. Located at the head of the Gulf of Siam, it was a trading center with palaces and monasteries, one of the world's largest cities in its heyday. Ayutthaya was the capital of the Siamese kingdom until its destruction by the Burmese army in 1767. Petra flourished more than 2,000 years ago, trading with Rome as an equal before being abandoned after earthquakes in the 4th and 6th centuries CE. Now, visitors can walk down the long, narrow canyon of the Sick to the city entrance, as dramatic an approach as any to a tourist attraction. The canyon opens onto the carved facade of the Treasury, Petra's most iconic site. From there, you can explore cliffside tombs, the Street of Facades, and an amphitheater hewn from living rock. The splendid old monastery sits atop a steep but rewarding climb. Consider buying a 3-day ticket and visiting at different times to enjoy the changing light. The UNESCO World Heritage Site designation is essentially a reliable stamp of approval that means visit here. The ancient ruins of the sacred city of Caral-Supe, the oldest civilization center in the Americas, is one such site. Dating back more than 5,000 years, it is located in a desert near the Supe River, north of Lima. Its 150 acres features sunken circular plazas, a tall temple, and earth and stone dwellings. Impressive architecture for people who did not make ceramic pots. Peruvian archaeologist Ruth Shady Seidel began excavations in 1994, and they're making ongoing discoveries. Caral-Supe's weather-worn pyramids were built before the famous Egyptian pyramids. Nearly 3 dozen caves or temples were carved out of cliffsides during the 6th to 10th centuries. The basalt rock-cut structures showcase Buddhist, Hindu, and Jain cultures. Elaborate Hindu Cave 16, a freestanding temple hewn from solid rock, is dedicated to Lord Shiva and is twice the size of the Parthenon. The caves are 50 miles from the more famous Ajanta Caves. You might want to visit during the annual Ellora Festival of Classical Dance and Music. The eerie ruins of Pompeii can be found near the Italian city of Naples. When the iconic Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, it destroyed the Roman city in waves of lava and took the lives of over 2,000 residents along with it. The ancient city, first discovered by accident beneath the volcanic rock in the 1950s, is remarkably well preserved. However, it wasn't until 2 decades later that it was properly excavated. To this day, 22 of the original 66 hectares have not been unearthed. You can walk down the streets of these ancient Roman ruins and imagine the town as it was in its heyday. There are the remains of stone houses, temples, bakeries, and even a brothel. Although much is gone among the ruins of this sanctuary, including a gold and ivory statue that was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the serene setting survives. Today, we associate Olympia with sports, but it began as a religious center. The Olympic Games, held every 4 years starting in 776 BCE for over 1,000 years, were part of a festival for Zeus. Romans and earthquakes later did considerable damage to the site. More columns remain standing at the gymnasium than at the large temples for Hera and Zeus. These numerous ancestral Pueblo Indian dwellings include hundreds of cliff dwellings at an altitude of 8,530 feet, the remains of a culture that lived here nearly 900 years. Even before the National Park Service began, the federal government protected this area, the first archaeological site anywhere to gain this recognition. Don't miss the daily ranger-assisted tour of the Cliff Palace, which features 150 rooms and 23 kivas, or the more in-depth tour of the Longhouse. When planning your visit, note that winter weather closes the cliff dwellings and the Park Lodge is open from May into October. There's more to see in Cappadocia than what you can view from its iconic hot air balloon rides. Derinkuyu is the largest of 2 subterranean cities in Green National Park and the rock sites of Cappadocia, an otherworldly landscape of hoodoos, fairy chimneys, and troglodyte villages. The Byzantine city housed up to 20,000 people on multiple levels, descending 18 stories underground, complete with ventilation shafts and ways to obtain water. It provided refuge during sieges. Thick stone wheels served as doors to block intruders. These hundreds of Hindu and Buddhist temples on Java date from the 9th century. Earthquakes as recently as 2006 and volcanic eruptions have damaged the site over the centuries. The small temples have mostly collapsed. The tallest temples are dedicated to Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Bas-relief panels recounting the Hindu epic poem Ramayana decorate them. From May through October, the Ramayana Ballet performs the story outdoors at the temple compounds, also known as Candi Rara Jonggrang. Surrounded by jungle are the dramatic remains of this Mayan site, inhabited for some 1,500 years. The ancient capital city may have had 90,000 residents at its peak. Its most famous features, large temples, number over 2 dozen, in the shape of stepped pyramids, some among the tallest pre-Columbian structures in the Americas. Yes, you can climb the many steps for spectacular views, and because of Tikal's remote location, you won't feel like you're in Times Square. In recent years, sophisticated LiDAR technology indicates that Tikal was part of a vast metropolis. More discoveries await. The impressive Great Pyramids of Giza rightfully earn their Wonder of the World title. But then there's Abu Simbel. The site has personality. Ramses II is present at every turn, as is his wife Nefertari. 4 giant likenesses are carved into sandstone walls and look out over Lake Nasser. Inside, it's pure Indiana Jones and archaeology with magnificent hieroglyphics and rows of columns at every turn. The temple is dedicated to sun gods. Twice a year, the sun's rays travel 185 feet to fully illuminate the interior. Travel here is from Aswan in a caravan that leaves at dawn. That was it for today's video. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. It helps us a lot.